going that extra mile and not just doing something, but the process. You use the word that never stops coming out of my mouth.
Process.
The process. So as we segue into this right now, we are about to get it started. And now, my friend, I am here introducing my friend. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Eric A. Bradley. And right here, this is what we're coming to do for you guys out here in social media, is to give you one of the greats of our era. We all have opportunities to reach that plateau, but very few and far in between get to do it. And my friend here today with us is Jack Reiss, referee and highly educated and an educator in the sport of boxing and in the world of officiating.
Thank you.
Greetings, my friend, and welcome to the Fight Show.
Eric, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. If my wife heard it, she'd think I paid you to say that nice stuff. So thank you very much, and I appreciate being on the show. And it's always a great opportunity when two guys who think alike get an opportunity
Yeah.
to educate the boxing fans and help our industry grow.
Yes, absolutely. Well, when I first, reached out, like I said, I never finished telling you the story. As when I saw the one of the judges for the Pacquiao Timothy Bradley fight, give his reasons why he chose Timothy Bradley in the fight, and I said, wow, it's just not enough people who are really. Not only are you inside the sport, you are the sport. And then there's these faces that get all the credibility, and they push the main people and the characters in the sport in this place where you just don't get that front and center. And Jack, that's one of the reasons I know that the perception of boxing is so different, because they don't hear from guys like yourself. And I thought about this. I said, why aren't these guys being interviewed like enough and front and center and mainstream? And then I saw your interview about the one of the most epic fights in boxing history. And it's always great to have your name tied to something like that. It's a great thing. But I said, Jack Reiss, you know. And the minute I said it, it was like icon in our sport. Icon.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
see one video, and I know you're constantly active and you're doing a lot in a lot of the arenas that really matter, like in the medical field. Not everybody wants to edify the medical field. Now they do when they are in fear and stuff, but they've always done what they do. I know, I was a part of the medical field. So when I saw that, I said, that's it. This is exactly who needs to be in front of this microphone. And we have 150,000 people on this page. So a lot of people really will appreciate the
Wonderful.
knowledge.
Can I
And
ask you a quick question?
yes, sir.
Was the judge that you heard speak from the Pacquiao Bradley
Timothy
fight,
Bradley.
was it Dwayne Ford?
I know he was a black guy.
Oh no, that wasn't Dwayne Ford.
And I know a Dwayne Ward is not black, but I can't, Dwayne Ford, I can't get his name.
I can look it up while we're talking, but I just
I
wanted
may
to say
have,
Dwayne Ford has been around a long time.
yeah,
And he's
Dwayne
one
Ford,
of
I
the
hear the name.
articulate
Yeah,
guys on boxing, and he
yeah.
teaches fantastic judges seminars. And what I love about Dwayne, he's an old guy like me, but he stays current. He
Current.
evolves with the sport, and he's got
Yeah.
this new teaching technique and scoring system. It's the same old system with a new spin to make everybody grasp the process better.
Yeah.
And it's just great. Anyway,
No,
he's an
that's
ABC trainer too.
that's beautiful. And would you please let the people right here know, the process when it comes down to becoming an AVC trainer? Like, what does that process look like when you are someone looking from the outside? It's something you want to do. There's so many different characteristics and people want to qualify to become a part of the boxing community. What is that grind like to really become someone in the sport at that level?
Well, it's difficult. It's a long path. It's a long
Mhm.
road, but like anything else, it's worth it. And I had a lot of doors close in my face for
Yeah.
many years. It took me 9 years to be accepted as an ABC trainer. Well, the first thing that anyone would have to do is go to and attend an ABC seminar and get certified as either a ref or a judge. And then they'd have to have a resume in boxing. And that obviously takes a long time, because what people don't realize is if you're a ref or you're a judge, you're a cornerman, a cutman, whoever you are in boxing, people are watching, whether it's your peers or people like yourself, the educators in the sport, or the commentators, people are watching. And it takes a while. It's like you can't cook something fast. It has to take the right amount of time to cook. And you build your reputation over the years of showing, demonstrating consistency. So it takes a hell of a long time.
That's
and
a
you know
big
what,
deal.
too, Eric? I've learned a great lesson. Sometimes I want things, all the time. I want things, and I found it's not in my time, it's in God's time.
Yeah.
So I work hard for what I'm going to get. And if it comes, when it comes, I'm happy I got it. And if it never comes, I accept that too. But I work for it. I chase the goals.
I can co-sign on that, because people see me in the position that I've been. I've, grown a global brand and really speak highly to the sport. It's so much more to do that I can't sit back and edify that. And they just think, oh, it happened overnight. I calculate my hours. I'm at 74,000 hours of hands-on doing it, not talking about it. Not since I started. I'm talking about, I calculate my hours yearly. I'm at 74,000 hours. It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. So I just want people to grasp, you can't go to YouTube and learn how to do what guys like yourself do and in 33 minutes in a 16-second video.
I'd like to support what you said. There's two things I want to say. I call boxing my mistress, because boxing is a part-time job with a full-time commitment, and it's like having a mistress that's constantly pulling me away from my family, my friends, and my personal life. But I love it so much. I've sacrificed the things I just talked about, my relationships and my home life and everything. Now, my family is very proud of me and they're happy I do it, but there was a price to pay. And I often say this into the classes that I teach. Where are you in boxing? I'll say, I go, if you go to college for 4 years, you get a degree. And then you go on to further school. I say, well, look, for as long as I've been in the industry, and other referees like Kenny Bayless and Tony Weeks and, Pat Russell and guys that you all know and stuff.
Yeah.
Benji Sevis, we're PhDs in the amount of hours that we put into the sport. So with that comes credibility, because we've actually been in the grind and made the mistakes and learned from the mistakes. And now we're at a level where we don't have to make the mistake ourselves. We can watch other people, we can learn from it.
Yes.
And I have no pride, that my pride don't hold me back. If a guy is doing something in a ring, a referee, and I like it, not only am I gonna copy it, but I'm not gonna copy it without first calling the guy, even if he had 6 months on as a ref. I'm gonna say, Eric, I just saw you do this on this fight. Could you tell me why you did it? What's the theory behind it? And guess what? If it passes the test, my litmus test, and it's good, I'm doing it.
Same thing.
Want to be the best.
Same thing that Kobe Bryant used to do to Jordan. He used to call him up all the time. And I mean, you heard these stories, and he asked, and that's the mark of someone that's great. And I have a school full of guys, over 130, 40 coaches that are every day. We're connected. Chop Corley just came into our
Chop Chop. I like Chop Chop. I saw.
Yeah, he just did a workout clinic with the guys, and they loved it. And having that, with that being said, those kind of people have that ability and opportunity to really help uplift. And when I hear when you say that the sacrifice in your family, that was the first thing that I wanted to allude to specifically. What did your parents, what type of parents committed, and how did they, what did they do that you took away from your childhood to bring you to this point, that when you were able to do and have a career choice, that referee job really stood out to you, that this is what I want to do, and it's obviously how you do it. speak to the parents that raised you, and how were you influenced as a child?
Well, it's an interesting story. So I grew up in Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And unfortunately, my father died when I was 8 years old. So I was
Oh,
raised by a single parent with an
mm,
older brother and an older sister.
yeah.
And as a kid growing up, I would always be disagreeing with my mom. But as an adult, when I started realizing things, my mom was an incredible lady. This lady, as soon as my father died, with no skills at 45 years old, got out and went to work
Wow.
and took the trains to Manhattan, rain, snow, sunshine, whatever it was, every day for 30 or 40 years. 30 years. She went from 45 to 76 to
Amazing.
provide, to keep a roof over our head and make sure we had food. And it was a little much more than that. It was just, it was very difficult. Well, what
Yeah.
it did for me is a few things. First of all, I learned my work ethic from my mom. The
Hmm.
lady was tireless in that respect, didn't complain, did what she needed to do for her family. And I learned that, and I started working at an early age as well. And I always learned that you can compensate or overcome any
Yeah.
deficiencies you have by sheer hustle and hard work. And that stuck with me. I
Bread
was,
and butter.
yeah. So I was never the most talented guy, but
Yeah.
nobody's gonna outwork me is the way I felt about it. You know what
It's
I mean?
obvious.
And then I had some role models, some male role models growing up. It was my brother, my older brother initially, and
Hmm.
then a lifelong friend who was like an older brother too. They were good
Hmm.
role models. But when I was 12 years old, I started working on an ice cream truck that went neighborhood to neighborhood, and I would serve the ice cream, soft serve, as this gentleman drove the truck. I'd clean up, make change. 12 years old, I was handling money and making change. It was good for my brain, good for my math skills. But this
Okay.
guy, he was a real good role model, even though, Eric, you appreciate this, he had a very, very shady background early in his life. He did
Yeah.
jail time. He, tattoos,
Oh,
very
yeah.
rough guy, scars, lots of fights. But
Yeah.
what he taught me is, one of the things he taught me was how to be a man that you don't have to walk around like a tough guy. You could
Yeah.
treat everybody with respect, and you should treat everybody with respect until they don't respect you.
Yeah.
It gave me an outlook, and that's the way I've always been.
Beautiful.
I get people take my kindness as a weakness, and I get that's okay. I can handle it. They can do it once. You know what I mean?
But
But
once.
I'd rather treat people the way I'd like to be treated, and
Yeah.
hurt by somebody, or disappointed by somebody,
Yeah.
and walk around with an attitude. And it just taught me how to be a fair and respectable person.
Yeah.
And growing up, being a fatherless kid in Brooklyn, I've been in very unusual, difficult situations.
I
I
can
had to
imagine.
fight. I had to fight to survive. So fighting's been in my DNA since I'm a little.
Yeah. Wow. You can see that you have the spirit is proper. You handled some of those interviews after that momentous moment in your life. You handled it like boom. And then I could tell that you knew who you were. You knew who you were, and nobody's gonna shake that and move that. And that's a man with character. And that's also a man with a PhD in what he does.
Thank
No
you.
one can make you think otherwise. And sometimes they do in the media. They try to make you, kind of sing their song. And when you know who you are, it's
You know,
not going
so
to happen.
Eric, I've learned boxing is such a metaphor for life, and I've learned so much from boxing that I've
Yeah.
gained from it. I feel like I got to give back. But there's one of the things I learned is there's something hugely different between criticism and a critique. The people that come to talk to me and start criticizing me
Yeah.
without really understanding, especially, or because they have a personal agenda, like a I'll say it, like a Jim Gray. I really, it's all about him. It's
Yeah.
his ego and all about him. He doesn't really care to make the sport better. He's always looking to put you on a spot in a bad light.
Yeah.
And I would really love to have a serious conversation with him off camera and educate him onto what our challenges are. And
Yeah.
maybe I can convince him. But now critique, I don't mind taking critique. I love
Yeah.
critique because
Yeah.
stone sharpen steel. And if someone's going to help me with something, I'm going to take it. I'm going to be better from it. And like I said, I love taking the critiques, and I
You
do it all the
always.
time. I have a peer group that I go to, and I say, when I get out of the ring, or proverbially on the next day on TV, I'll ask somebody to watch a fight, what could I have done different or better? And I try to grow from it.
Yeah.
And that's what, that's why, certain stuff rolls off my back, because
Yeah.
I immediately realize the guy's criticizing me. He's not critiquing me.
Yeah. Having that being said, when you said these individuals, what they first do, they take a shot at you, impulse. And it's never a knock on you as the person. It's a knock on where they are not. Sometimes when you're in that world where you're playing, I watch The Last Dance and watch, Jordan get in Luke Longley and Dennis Rodman's face and grill and Scottie Pippen. And he's just trying to and Steve Kerr. It was a great conversation when he had Steve Kerr and they got in a fight, and I depend on you. And to constantly be ahead of yourself, you do a lot of research, you ask questions, make it clear to these people how important what you're doing is for the sport and in your life, and how it impacts you in business, because you're being blessed, not for standing inside of the ring. It's what you do when you go home and close your door and no one sees you is what you're getting blessed for. Your ability to go home and improve what you're doing.
Well,
Give them an insight to what.
Well, first of all, I've always been the kind of person,
Yeah.
because I had so many challenges in my childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and had that fighting background. I said, you know what? I got to take care of myself. I'm going to be out there all alone, and I got to take care of myself. And I always was the person seeking truth. And what I mean by that is this: 2 and 2 is 4. 2 and 2 will never be anything but 4. 2 plus 2, right?
Yeah.
So if someone has a way of doing something and it works, and they can explain it to me, if it works for them, it'll work for me. So I've always been seeking truth. And right now, how I apply that into boxing is, if someone's going to come up to me and start lambasting me and say I did something wrong, this and that, I'm going to say, well, how should I have done it? Tell me a better way. And if they have a better way, I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask them the theory, and I'm going to try it. But my point is, you can't fake truth. If it works, it works. And that's all I ever do, is I seek the truth. And now what I do I was telling you off camera.
Yeah.
I got together, I put my head together with Pat Russell, another world class referee and judge.
Good guy.
And because of demand, we put together this program. People could look us up. It's called soularbiter.com. SOLEARBITER.com. There's a website that describes our class and what we're doing to help referees improve themselves.
Yeah.
I can't improve you, but the way we face this, Eric, the way we face this challenge is, we look at it as that we're in a court of law, and we're going to present you evidence and proof of what we're telling you will work for you. Because I've always been looking for the truth, and we present it as evidence. We show videos of what don't work, and we show videos of what did work. Then we teach them the theory of why it worked, the theory of why what the other guy did that don't work. And then we teach you the mechanics of how to actually do it. And people have takeaways that they can immediately use in the ring. And most of it is based on attitude and the way you look at stuff.
Yeah.
And you hit it on before. Most referees, what keeps them from the truth and what keeps them from getting to the next level is their own vanity and their own ego. And it's not about us. It's about the fighters. And we show them how to get rid of your own ego. Don't worry about the call you make if you're going to take criticism. If you did what was right, what was right for the fighters, what was right for the sport, what's best for boxing, it'll all work out. This is a tough industry. Sometimes even when you do the right thing, you're going to get beat up on the internet. Suck it up there, cowboy. It's part of it. That's it. But better to do what's right. In fact, one of the things we teach is, are you the kind of guy or gal that has to be right? Or
Yeah.
are you the kind of person that just wants to do what's right? And clearly for me, I've always, and Pat, we teach, just do what's right. Don't try to be right.
Yeah.
And you're going to get hammered by
Yeah.
those who don't understand sometimes, but you'll be rewarded because little inklings of the people who do understand will
Yes.
say, no, I think he did it for this reason. Oh, wait, the rule says this. And the people who know will know, and you'll know, and don't worry about what the naysayers say, especially the ones that don't understand.
They don't get it.
Nope.
You hit the nail on the head. Most people want to be right. They don't care about getting it right. That's ego. When you walk into that fight night, you're such a prepared individual, and it's just very rare we're going to see this, where there's people who operate at the Black Mamba zone. Like your preparation is Black Mamba-esque, and people who are like Arnold Palmer, who set the bar. People saw their physical.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird,
I'll tell
insane.
you the stories. I'll tell you the stories on it, but go ahead.
Yeah, but that
The guys you mentioned are
yeah.
the people I read about and learned from. And I'll explain what I mean when you're done.
Well, just pretty much saying to that when you go into a fight, you know all the preparation you've done. What is one thing that you say to yourself, either at that fight, prior to, just say it's a world championship fight, it's pay-per-view, people are watching, to make sure that you stay who you are? What's that preparation mentally and psychologically, and what words do you utter to yourself?
Man, you and I are we're connected, dude. You get it. I really appreciate the fact that we're on the same page.
Yeah.
But first of all, getting myself prepared for a fight, especially one of a great magnitude, is a process. Here we go again with process, right?
Process.
But here's what I do when I'm walking in the arena, especially when I step in, my mental outlook when I step in that ring is, you did all the work.
Yes.
You prepared yourself as best as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Leave the rest in God and go in there in peace. And it relaxes me because I've done the work. And let me say this, okay? To prepare for fights, I treat myself like a fighter. The week before the fight, I start getting into my fight zone.
Yeah.
I've done all the preparation, especially if it's on a big mega fight. I've studied the fighters. I've watched videos. I have a book that I've kept, that I've made. I don't know if you can see this on screen. For 22 years, I make this book, and it's bullet points of what I'm going to do to study, and it's 22 what I'm bringing to the arena back in the day, and all kinds of things that for over 22 years I've put together from my experiences. And I go through this book, and it's growing.
Wow.
Okay, these are bullet points that mean something to me.
Wow.
Okay, wait, look at these.
That is
so. But what I'm saying is, when I go through this book, I'm visualizing those scenarios, and that's getting me into the zone. A boxing referee is unique to, and an MMA ref is unique to any other referee in any other sport. When the teams take the field in football and basketball and baseball, the refs are moving up and down the court, watching them shoot. The football umpires, refs, are standing behind a line of scrimmage, watching the play, moving with them. They're getting in the zone. They're getting warmed up. A baseball umpire stands behind the plate and watches the pitcher pitch, watches the balls, the strike zone. He gets his mind focused on the zone, right? The strike zone, right? Boxing ref, what's the warm-up? We get in the ring, and 2 seconds into the round, somebody can get knocked down.
Boom.
And go from a fight to a medical emergency in 1 second.
In 1 second.
We have to get in the zone before we walk into that arena. And I do a lot of studying. If I haven't had a fight in a month, I go to local gyms and I move around with the pros while they're, in the gym, to get my hand-eye coordination, my movement and stuff like that. I review my pre-fight instructions. I go over them so I don't leave anything out when I go there. And sometimes my pre-fight instructions are specific to a righty or a lefty or the fighters I'm doing that night. And then I get a haircut. I can make sure my toenails or my fingernails are cut. I check my uniforms. I prepare them separate. So when I get up that day, I already got them together. Boom, they're in the car. I didn't forget anything. My gym bag to make sure my shoes, everything's in there. And I'm like a maniac. My wife will tell you, get out of dad's way. He's in the zone, leave him alone.
Type A.
So when you say prepare, it's a week-long process for me on fights, but getting in the ring, that preparation allows me to leave the results to God and what's going to happen to God. I know I can go in there and do my best, and I'll be comfortable with the results.
See, and that's what, who would think it would take you that long? Like right now,
let me just say one thing,
Eric. An epiphany.
So I remember reading stories and watching 30 on 30 or whatever the programs were back in the
30
day
for 30
on Magic against Bird. Remember that series? And then and the Black Mamba and just Arnold Palmer, guys you said. And the one thing that like jumped out of my head was Larry Bird. Larry Bird is Larry Bird, man. And he would go out at a game. He would get there earlier than everybody else. And he would go on the court with an assistant. And he would start at the base of the key and constantly shoot and go around to the top of the key, back up to the lines behind the base, whatever, and just shoot 100 shots, 100, whatever it is. So his muscle memory, his neural pathways are right on the money. And that's why he was Larry Bird. Michael Jordan had his way of getting in that zone. And I realized, I'm a referee. I'm not the fighter, but I have their lives in my hand and I have their careers in my hand. And I owe it to these warriors to be in the zone so I'm not distracted and I don't miss nothing. So
I tell you what, there is a moment, and I'll share it in a moment, that no one saw it. You'd be hard pressed to find anyone in the sport of boxing that noticed what I picked up on in the 12th round of the Wilder Fury fight as Fury went down, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But there was a moment where you did some footwork in order to get in the proper position in which you could do your job at the best method that you could possibly deliver it. It was a step, knee drop. I mean, the movement, the timing is something that you might want to offer a footwork clinic for other referees who don't understand that the guy with the masterful mechanics of footwork, lower body, man, how many people have brought that to your attention?
You're the only one. People have said you really moved in and got over them. And they didn't understand why, though. They didn't understand how important it was because the crowd. And my job is to assess, is this guy awake or not? Is this guy going to be able to get up? And I had to get that picture to see if he was A&O times 3. And that's what I was looking for, Eric. Alert and oriented, the person, place, and purpose, because that's what we're doing when we're in there. But I'll tell you something that you probably didn't know. You may have noticed. People asked me, that was the most vicious knockdown I've seen in a long time. 90, this is the story out there. All the other referees would have waved it off. Certain people said I was cheating because all other referees would have waved it off.
Of course you are.
I was cheating.
Yes, you are.
If I had the wherewithal to cheat in a situation like that, whatever, I'd be a millionaire genius. But people were saying, so why didn't you wave it off? So my neural pathways were built. One thing I noticed from being a fireman and an EMT, working on a paramedic engine company and going to trauma for 20 years, just in that one job. I did 31 years on the job, but I was 20 years on a paramedic engine, go responding. So I went down. I pointed Wilder to the neutral corner, and he went on his own. I didn't have to do much. I quickly flipped my eyes to pick up the count from the timekeeper. And when I turned back to see what I had, Wilder's right leg was up, resting on the ball on the bottom of his feet. If he was unconscious, that would have been down. He would have been totally out. And so I said, he's awake. I noticed that. I said, let me see what I got. He's holding his leg up under his own power. He's
Yeah.
not unconscious. So
Yeah.
I walked in. I said, let me see what I got. People said I started to count late. No, you to them. No, you idiot. I went 1. I didn't know if he was out or not. If his eyes were closed, I was going like this. As I was walking in, I said 2, 3, and as I knelt down, I saw his eyes open. I went 4. I started at 4, but it was 1, 2, 3 in my head.
Yeah.
So, but people don't understand.
And they don't understand the kind of knockout. You know, I've taken a shot side of the head and being in that ring, and because blind spot, and you're down and you get up and you're like, what just happened? But one of my buddies, he's a referee and he does it at a very high level.
Who's that?
He's from Pittsburgh, and he did the whole Tarver fight. I'm having a brain fart.
Who's the ref? I'll tell you the fight.
It was Tarver, Glenn Johnson.
Glencoe. So who's the ref? Who's the ref?
That's what I'm trying to think of. I'm having a brain fart. And I mean, I literally trained his son and everything.
That fight was here in Los Angeles, and I was there.
Yeah, he has the goatee, brunette hair, kind of light on the top. And he got kind of banned for judging one fight, and then his scorecard was so far off that he kind of didn't get work for a few years. God, I'm having a brain fart, but I'm gonna
get it for you right now. While we're talking, I'll get it for you. Could you still see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
All right, because I'm pulling up Box Rec, and I'll get it for you. Who did you?
Okay, God, I'm having a Pittsburgh, North Carolina. That's where he's from. And what happened is I forgot my train of thought where I was about having that moment. He knew us because he came to the gym. He saw us train. He understood all of the guys. We had a gym full of elite level fighters, whether they were Olympic or Olympic alternates or contenders. He got an opportunity to see us. So if he were ever ref one of our fights and someone got buzzed, he knew that they knew what they were doing because he's seen them do it in the gyms. So he could really articulate it a little better. He understood who he was dealing with. There's what you call a neurological knockdown, and then there's what you call a blood flow knockdown, where the blood gets shut off because the punch hit it right in the point and cut the circulation off behind here. And it's not damage. It's just
it's called a syncopal episode, where the brain, the different parts of the brain, no longer can communicate on a temporary basis.
Yes.
Because the electrical impulses get cut off, pinched, because of the way the brain moves inside the skull after the trauma, after the hit.
And that was kind of what you were dealing with. You would be able to identify because
you're
from
talking about the one that was done, the one that was done in Memphis, or the one that was done in
Memphis.
You're talking about one of my good friends, Bill Clancy.
Bill Clancy. Thank you. Wow.
I talk to him every day.
Bill Clancy. Bill Clancy, that's my cool brother right there. He is a good dude. And he knew Rashad and Darnell and Paul and all of the guys. So if he ever ref the fight, he knew what he was dealing with. He knew this guy had a crazy chin. Paul could take a punch from a small hammer. And I mean, the things that you have because you know this sport, and people don't understand your level of knowledge. If they were on your feeds and been in a seminar with you, they don't question that. But they just question things on impulse, which is why there are levels.
With the territory. Let me tell you about your friend Bill Clancy. 38 years in the business, lives in North Carolina. Not the hub of boxing. So it's difficult. North Carolina doesn't bring that many boxing shows. But Bill Clancy's got a friend called Wayne Spinola, and we call it Wayne's World. Those two guys, but Bill's been doing it for years. Bill will jump in a car and drive 300 miles to work fights for $100 and have to drive home the same night. He's been doing it. He's got 800 fights, whatever, plus. And he's done that by going anywhere, taking every fight and do whatever he can because he loves this sport. And him and I, I think it was in December last year, got called upon. It was a dream for us. We've always wanted to work together. We went out and we worked a show together. I'm trying to remember if it was Atlanta. It was Atlanta. Well, I did the Devonta Davis, Gamboa fight.
New Yorkers Gamboa. Woo!
Yeah, and he did the better fight that night. He did Badu Jack, and
whoa!
he had the better fight.
Holy crap! That fight
Pascal Jack fight. That was a great fight.
That was
Bill's my man.
Wow. Talking about ebbs and flows, 80s fights.
Here's a guy with 38 years, Bill Clancy. He's flying out here to come to this seminar just because he loves learning.
He loves it. He's a good dude, man.
What can you say about a guy with a PhD that's going to come out and listen and talk to other doctors to get better? It's great.
That says everything about him. And I trained and worked with his son when he was a younger guy, and he was determined and driven as well.
Brandon, son Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon was good. Is a cool dude. I liked him a whole lot, man. I haven't seen him in some years, but he's a good dude. As we speak and just have segued from so many great topics, we want to know, like, from behind the scenes when you're there, what's a moment that you remember in your? That was one. But what's a moment that you remember as you're refereeing, man, and that just stands out in your mind? I could think of one, but I know you probably have one that maybe something happened that it was just during or after the match, and it just impacted you. It stayed with you, whether it was adjusting something you how you call a fight or whatever. What is that moment like? The floor is yours.
That happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
I go home and I critique myself. I watch my fights. My wife watches them with me, and I have a peer group that I ask them to watch them too. So I always have those moments. But something that sticks out for me is kind of humorous, but it's interesting. So I did a fight between Andre Ward and Edwin Rodriguez, and Eric, I got to tell you, those two guys legitimately hated each other's guts.
Yeah.
When I walked into the arena, you can cut the attention with a knife. The promoter got in my face, warning me about certain things that were going on. Then both camps, people from the camps were catching me. I still had my uniform and my bag in my hand. I hadn't even got into the referee's room, and I was getting accosted. And then when I went into the dressing rooms before it was really, really tough as well. They were both mad about what the other fighter had done. But the funny story was Rodriguez, I believe, he felt he couldn't beat Ward at that weight. So he came in 10 pounds over the day before the fight.
Yeah.
He did it on purpose. He gave up $200,000 of his $1 million purse, but he felt maybe that who cares about the money? If I beat this guy, whatever weight I'm at, it's going to lead to a lot more money. He gave up 200 grand, which made everybody more tense. 10 pounds is a huge difference at the middleweight class, super middleweight class. And so they weren't even going to have the fight, but it was the main event on HBO. They negotiated a deal that, okay, he has to lose a certain amount of weight by tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, get on the scales and re-weigh. He can't rehydrate and go up 20 pounds.
No.
He can't do that. So they agreed they'll have the fight, non-title. He can't win Andre's title, whatever, but he's got to maintain the weight.
Yeah. So
he gets up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go there, and it's a legendary story. Somebody in Ward's camp back in the day, not anymore, this wouldn't happen with Andre. He's retired anyway, but they were playing mind games. They didn't want Rodriguez to be able to weigh in that early. So they stole the scale. They went in the room after the commissioner put it down. They grabbed the scale, and it was electronic, the cord and the scale. And as they were leaving the room, they were caught, and the commissioner said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And this guy's running through the hotel with security chasing him and the commissioners chase him with the scale. So he would delay Rodriguez, and Rodriguez would have had to stay at that weight 4, 5, 6 more hours.
Wow. What? You cannot make that story up.
Crazy. And
you know what?
I don't know if you remember the fight, It was a very spirited fight. And
Oh, yeah.
I
Are
had
you?
my hands full, and I had to take some extreme measures in that fight.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they did not like each other. That guy was big too, and Ward was, I know Virgil Hunter, he was partners with my cousin in the Olympics 2004, so they both were coaches, and he was very astute when he understood weight. He did not play around with Andre Ward fighting, up going up to 175 yet or anything. So these guys, he understood his size and respected it well. And hearing that, it just made me resonate, realize, go back to that time. That was around the Super Six. Back in that time,
Right after the Super
yeah,
Six.
right after the Super Six, man, and Ward, and it was very. I mean, the guys on the telecast did a great job, kind of letting people know that this is bad blood. So, guys who are watching, you got to be on weight. You got to be ready, because somebody might pull those shenanigans on you, and you be stuck around dehydrated 4 or 5 extra hours. It was a good attempt, though.
I got to tell you, Andre Ward, he belongs up there. It won't happen in the modern day, but he belongs up there with one of the most highly respected top boxing professionals of all time. That's another guy like you and me.
Yeah.
When it comes to preparation, he's a Larry Bird, a Michael Jordan, an Arnold Palmer. Yes. That guy is a preparation maniac, and you can see it now how he commentates. That guy is ready, man.
Prepared,
concise and clear. He's wonderful.
Extremely.
I love Andre Ward. He's a great dude.
He's definitely a pugilist in whatever he puts in front of him. That's the only way he knows how to operate. And he was a student inside of the ring, understood adjustments, understood muscle memory. He would always train upwards of an hour prior to training to get prepped. He had the same Jordan rule, the Larry Bird, the Magic Johnson. Just had that same DNA. Preparation is king. That's who will be wearing the crowns, and those are the elitists. And that's how people who are watching, you got to realize what it takes to do this at this level and stuff. So it's a lot of good guys out here who are fighting. You got Crawford, you got Loma, you have all of these kids coming up, Lopez, and now you're a referee. But because of course, the next question was pretty much, is that the best seat in the house, or which one of these fights would you rather be having a cold beer watching from ringside, or is inside of that ring the best seat in the house? What fight are you looking most forward to happening for history?
Listen, there's no question about it. If I want to be in the ring, there's no
okay.
House. And to be fortunate enough to be chosen for any of these fights and be part of boxing history is a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
And I'm getting old. I want to get all the blessings I possibly can before I fade off into the sunset. There's no place I'd rather be. And I got to tell you, man, Kenny Bayless, Tony Weeks, Russell Mora, great referees, Bobby Bird, all these guys, Pat Russell, Benji, they'll all tell you, man, sometimes we're seeing poetry in front of us. We're seeing a person that can move and slip and jab and work, and he's such a PhD in boxing that you slip into, my God, this is unbelievable. And you're a fan when you're in that ring. And you got to snap your head and come back to being the ref.
I can imagine.
I love being that close. I love being part of it. And there's no place I'd rather be but in there.
Yeah. And you, just by DNA, you're a person that's always prepared for that level. So you won't be in that scenario where you are in the ring and you're like, man, I'm not sure of everything right now. Have you seen referees that are in the position where you feel like they feel like they might be in a little too deep, and you might have to come to their aid or something, either prior to the fight or their anxieties? Has that happened to you?
Well, I'll tell you what actually happens. It's so hard to advance in boxing.
Yeah.
And Eric, everybody wants to be the guy. Everybody wants to be that guy in that fight,
Of course.
But a lot of people aren't willing to pay the price to get there with the exorbitant amount of hours and hard work. And I find that I'm not picking on anybody, but we have a group of millennials that will take any fight anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do anything to get themselves noticed, and they'll take a fight before they're ready for a fight. And let me just tell you something about boxing.
Yeah.
You could bullshit will get you there, but it won't keep you there.
You won't keep
And
you there.
I have witnessed, and all the guys that I speak to, my friends and peers in boxing will tell you, boxing is the most incredible sport in the world in this respect. If you don't know what you're doing, whether you're a cut man, an inspector, a commissioner, a judge, a ref, a timekeeper, a cornerman, it don't matter who you are.
Yeah.
A moment in time, after time, a moment in time you're going to be in, and if you don't know what you're doing, you'll get exposed.
Yeah.
This is what happens to a lot of these young guys that rush because their uncle is someone important in that city, or their father is someone important, or they've wined and dined the commissioner and whatever, and they do the wrong things to get themselves these big fights, and they get exposed. We call it the deer in the headlight stare. I got videos of referees where something happens and they're like this, Eric.
Yeah. Wow.
They don't know what to do. I could show you videos when we're done with this that I use in my thing to teach, that it's incredible that people get into that position, but boxing exposes you.
Yeah, it does.
It's the greatest sport in the world for that.
Preparation is everything, and anyone who thinks any otherwise, you are going to be on the other side of that stick, and it's not good. Yeah,
I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
One of the seminars I teach is I show referees making mistakes. I show me making mistakes. I show Kenny Bayless. I show David Fields, guys who are doing world-class fights, and they do it well. Wow. I don't know about me, but the rest of the guys, they do it well.
Yeah.
Great world-class officials making mistakes. And then I show other guys making mistakes. Well, the difference is Kenny and David, myself, we're missing a headbutt. We're missing a knockdown. Our position, we're blocked. We're missing a call. Maybe we got momentarily distracted.
Human error.
Call, and thank God they're starting to come in with instant replay.
Yeah, that's good.
I hate to say this. Those are acceptable mistakes for humans in that
human
position.
Error.
There's only one of us, okay?
Yeah.
But then I also show the stuff where people show a total disgraceful lack of judgment because they have no judgment. They don't have the knowledge and the experience. And I go, look, this will happen to you. You're going to miss calls at no matter what level you're at. But this you never want to happen. And I could show you stuff where it would make your head want to explode, to how stupid the referee looked and how bad it was for the sport on multiple occasions. And what we try to teach in my class in soularbiter.com, the website, people could learn this, is we use this acronym, RAVE: recognize, analyze, visualize, execute. The first part of it is to recognize. We teach the referees to recognize what they're looking at. If they don't understand what they're looking at, nothing good's going to follow. But by hard work and homework and doing your job, you'll recognize what you'll see in front of you. You build those neural pathways, and instantly you'll have the answer to what to do. It's the guys that something happens and they got the deer in the headlight.
Yes.
We're paid to be decisive, right or wrong. You got to be decisive.
Yeah, you got to know your stuff, and you got to believe it, and you got to be able to bank on it, because the mic might land right in your face after that fight.
Not only that, you might cause a guy's career, or worse, his life.
Life, yeah.
You got to know why you're pulling the plug.
Yeah.
Stopping a fight. You got to know why you're not stopping that fight. And you better be on solid ground, not for the fans, not for the sport, but for you, for the rest of your life. Because if someone dies on your watch, your life is basically over. Mentally, you'll be destroyed. You don't know how many people's lives it affects, but your life. We've had referees commit suicide a bit more than people really know.
Wow. And that's something that people need to realize, that the way Sports Center makes boxing look, the way Fox makes boxing look, that's their job. But when you're the man in the ring and you got that shirt on and you got that tie on and you are standing there and 2 lives are at stake, there's just the process you must understand, and you can't take shorts when it comes to that, because it's their job to make the sport look the way that will keep people watching and entertained. The pre-fight stuff, the build-up, the hype stuff, all the promotions, that's their job. But boxing is much more than that. Officiating is much more than that. Refereeing and coaching is much more than what they make it out to be. They can only do what they do, but it's up to us as people inside of the sport to really take it to the next level. And you've been doing a great job. And I'm gonna make sure I get all your information after we do this podcast. I mean, at the end of the podcast, so people can go up to those sites and really get educated in stuff, because that's a powerful thing. And when you think about it, we're entering back into our sport. In your opinion, how is it unfolding to you? Do you think boxing is taking the right steps, and compared to the other, legislations in the sports, different sports, how do you see it as we coming back?
I think it's wonderful, and it's been demonstrated already with Top Rank being first of all, is the UFC. I got to give them all the credit in the world. They pushed to get fights back, and they were the guinea pig. And they went out there and they did it. And of course, it was the first person or the first group doing it. So they did things that they could have done better, and they learned from it. And we got to learn from it. So now Bob Arams put these fights on at, God, there's been about 5, 6 already. Great. I didn't even realize how much I miss boxing, even though there's no crowd to just sit there and watch.
Feel great.
And we're coming back. And my state as well, our fights are scheduled in July. We had something on the 4th of July, but Ryan Garcia changed. He didn't want to fight that night. So that show has been canceled, but we have quite a few in July. And my boss told me, all of us, he told us that August is packed. And the way that we in our state, I'm sure every other state as well, had to have a very aggressive plan on how to come back. And I think they're doing a wonderful job. It's going to take a little more commitment from all the players, all the entities. The arena is not going to have anybody in it. There's a huge amount of testing for everybody. They're putting this thing up your nose, gathering the sample. It goes out. You get quarantined until it comes back. If you're positive, you can't fight that. You can't work that night. If you're negative, you get to stay in the hotel. Fighters are getting chosen, done multiply. We're taking every precaution possible, and we're monitoring it as well. So now it looks like no one's tested positive for COVID who's actually done the fights or fought. There was one guy,
co-manager.
Yes, that came in with it, but no one who's worked the shows has come down with it yet. They're getting tested after as well. And I feel like the country wants to come back. We all want to get back out in the world, So boxing is a great test tube for it. And I believe our governor, he wanted us to get boxing and MMA going as fast as possible because that's the test. He wants baseball back. He wants football back because it's great revenue, and it'll divert all the tension that's going on in this country back to sports. It'll help. Through all the world wars, baseball was our national pastime, and that we were always centered around baseball. Now it's football, basketball, and everything, and we don't have any of it.
Yeah,
we need to get our sports back. So that's what's going on. And my boss, Andy Foster, and my commission, California State Athletic Commission, extremely proactive, extremely progressive, and had meetings with the ringside physicians groups and all kinds of medical advisory committees, and put all these things into place to protect the fighters and protect us until we can slowly let the crowds back in. So we're back. Boxing's back.
Well, good deal. Well, is there anything that you see that may need to be done that may not be done? I mean, I watched Top Rank Friday night. I think it was Friday or Thursday. And I was very impressed with the process in which they rolled that show in. It was so well done. It looked so safe. The judges was
like a military operation.
Man.
Do this, well-oiled machine. But you know what? Tough times bring out people.
Yeah, the best.
Step up to the plate, and they bring out the best in us. And that's what you see.
Yeah, cream rises to the top under that scenario. But I see that so many people, they're looking, they want it, but they got to realize there's a lot of protocols that still have to be put in place. and that fighters aren't out in a scenario getting while they're training. And because the only people who've tested it are people like these co-managers and these people who are out doing other kinds of work. So fortunately, fighters aren't getting, contaminated when they're training. So that's a great thing. So that's not a big issue. So I think the forward progress, putting everything in ink, because everything's still in pencil. You're figuring it out as we go, and making sure that everybody's safe and that the fans get to watch some good boxing. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I enjoyed the fights last week. They had triple header kind of deal going on. So this week, much more of the same.
Yep.
So our new normal is, how has it impacted you? And which is all of the global stuff over in NASCAR. You've seen the unifying of people coming together. The sports world has come together. Even in the politics have been, kind of going left to right. But the thing is something is coming out of it. How do you see this time in our history? And what's your thoughts on how things are just kind of happening and it's going in a direction?
Well, it's interesting that you were talking about direction. On a side note, I always think this whenever we go through something like with 9/11 or whatever has happened over the years. I always wish I could be here 100 years from now to see how history is going to judge us. And you and I are us. We're part of this too. We have responsibilities in this too.
Absolutely.
So let me answer it like this. I am so happy that everyone in the world is now willing to address this long over conversation that we've needed to have for a long time regarding, discrimination and Black lives and stuff like that. And people need to be heard. They need to be heard. So I'm glad it's coming out. And so a positive thing is coming out of it. And I recognize clearly that right now, especially as a white male, my job is to shut my mouth and listen. Black men, yourself, and women need to be heard, and I'm going to do the listening. And I've always been the guy that has helped those who have been burdened growing up my whole life. I was always the guy who, when a kid was getting picked on, I stepped up for him. 5 guys were beating on one guy. I broke it up. I think that's where I started my refereeing, back there. And I think that's why I gravitated towards being a fireman, because what being a fireman or being a cop is supposed to be is that a situation has occurred that's out of the control of the people in the situation. So they dial 911 to have people come and help them. And I always loved being the guy that came to help and fix the situation, which went right into being a ref. I love being the guy in there that facilitates 2 warriors doing everything they can, but I don't want to let them get hurt. And you know what I mean? So right now, I think we're in a very interesting time. I know there's tension. It saddens me to see that there's some opportunists that are making it an ugly thing. But on the other part of it is, look how many, first of all, let me say this. When George Floyd was murdered, I did not speak to, read about, or hear one person in the whole world that said, no, that was justified. Everyone unified and said that was wrong. Which is fantastic. I'm saddened by the opportunists that took this terrible incident to instead of unifying us, are tearing us apart on both sides.
They're doing
I think, but sometimes, like my friend Pat Russell always says, to make a sausage, you got to jam a lot of stuff in and crank it down, and it comes out a beautiful sausage. And right now, our country and our world, we're making sausage. Everybody's getting stuff off their chest and has their opinion. But I believe in humans. I believe in us. I believe in, especially, I believe in the concept of America. And I think together we are going to figure this out, because we're better than that. We've always figured everything out. And I think it'll be better now once we get to that point where everybody's listening, and thank God now everyone's willing to hear this conversation that, Black people and minorities have been asking to have. So I think this is a very difficult time, but it's a great time, because we're going to come through this strong, in my opinion.
You remember how the year started out? Do you remember how the year started out? First, we lost Black Mamba, just tragic,
Oh,
and his daughter,
hey, you
and
know
the
what?
other 7 people that were on that.
Eric, 20 miles from my house, not even 20 miles from where I live.
Really?
Yeah, he happened 20 miles from where I live.
Holy, that
A
is,
helicopter crashed in Calabasas and I'm in Oxnard.
wow,
Not that
wow.
that means anything, but and then
Yeah.
you know that
No, no,
shooting,
I
the
get it.
borderline shooting. Remember the mass shooting, the borderline? That was in my county. That was in my county here. It
Yeah,
happens everywhere, this stuff. Anyway,
it's
you were
been
saying
kind
how the year started.
the year
You were saying,
started and it has not stopped. I mean,
oh,
literally.
I want to
Like
get rid of 2020 already. Let's move
2020
past
is
2020.
being like, was this a declaration on the roaring 20s in the night? I mean, we just kind of outdid it in 6 months. Like with everything that happened in the 20s.
I haven't met anybody that hasn't said I can't wait till 2021.
Or not. I mean, just like,
Can we put an eraser to 2020 and just
yeah,
erase the whole
it
year,
has
man?
been a special kind of, awakening. But I've said when it's all said and done, cream rises to the top. Listen to Colin Cowherd speak to, when we are pushed that in America, and I'm sure globally, but in America specifically, we don't like bullies. We don't like people in a position where they're used to
Exactly.
bully. And he said,
Exactly.
we always step up to the cause. He said, you see people donating and putting money together and stepping up. He said, that's one thing you can say about us over here in the country of America, as we step up and we come together whenever things like that happen, when we see someone being picked on. And that is a beautiful thing. It's a powerful thing. And if you really think about it, it's the truth. And that's what people who have character and understand and don't stand for crap. So that's a powerful
I
thing.
would
And
like to get us back, the
yes,
country. I can't worry about, not that I can't worry about it. I can only
yeah,
tell you my experience here. I've
yeah,
only visited other places, but
yeah,
the day after 9/11, our country was so unified and
yeah,
so together on a road. I'd like to get us back there, peaceful, moving
yeah,
forward forever. It'll
yeah,
be awesome.
yeah. Well,
We'll have conversations. It'll be great.
yeah. Yes, definitely, because the pressure on the medical guy, the people who are behind those scientists who are coming up with vaccines and things like that, the pressure they got to feel. But at the same time, the support, we're being proactive with masks, gloves, staying home, which is a serious new kind of normal. Like
Ooh,
everything's still permeating, to how will it look in the next 10 months. We're kind of, that's the process is being built. And things won't be normal at Christmas. You'll be in a new normal and something that you can appreciate, because I'm appreciating being able to sit on this call with you. And if it wasn't for Corbin, maybe this didn't happen. So therefore, a lot of good is coming out of it. And like I said, cream always rises to the top. This is our new normal for this year. This is happening. So I embrace it. I pray for the people who are in positions where they can't really do for themselves or they're losing their jobs. You don't want to ever hear about that. But my advice for the coaches and teachers, athletes, use this time for benefit, to improve where you are and to continue to catapult yourself. And it's like you're doing those type things. You're catapulting yourself. I'm super interested in going and checking out the website when I get done with this. I am just totally right here. We're in the area where we call finish the sentence. And basically you just finish this sentence. And the sentence is, I want to be remembered for
being a great husband, father, fireman, friend, and being, if someone can remember me as great as a referee, but I really want them to think of me and be remembered for honesty, fairness, competency, and making good judgments under pressure as a ref. But if
yeah,
I could accomplish those first things, my life is, I did good. If I can
yeah.
accomplish those second things, that's a bonus.
Well, I think you've already done more than you realize when it comes down to the platform in which you host. with the education side of things that most of these individuals do not know about, which I will definitely tomorrow. A post goes up specifically about that and your data. And you kind of already know from the emails you've gotten that we jump on things and do it in a kind of way.
I got to say this publicly, man. I was so impressed on your level of communication and the professionalism
Yeah.
of preparing me to do your show. It was so refreshing compared to some other things I've done. That was an organized mess. It was so professionally organized. It told me everything about you I needed to know.
Yeah.
You're very cerebral. Which I'm complimenting you, and you're a PhD at this, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, if we do it, we got to do it where it really impacts and people benefit and not give lip service. We got a lot of lip service going. So it takes someone to be great to reach the level in which you've reached in order for me to do my job the way I do it. And I thank you for doing what you do in the light in which you do it. So I want to make sure that people really understand all of these kind of things that you're doing for them, for those who are trying to get into this business, for those who want to understand it better. That's what they need to know. So I can't wait to get on that part of it. No, there will be no show that I just do and it's over after that hour, because there's definitely, I could have done this all day easily with you. I mean, because we were chopping it up 30 minutes before we even got on here. And, you know, when I'm out in Cali, we're going to have a beer and a steak.
I'm buying.
And that's hands down. But right now, the floor is yours to speak to the audience and let them know about, you know, anything you want to, whether it's your business, whether it is your organization, whatever, because they are tuning in and it is a packed house.
How many people you got watching us?
Let me look. It is, we had 5,000 live last week, and see, it's 150,000. So from now till all week, they'll be watching. There'll be new people chiming in and tagging. We got put it like this month we got 1.9 million people that have attended on my page. So it's definitely, look at, it's down the feed.
Some comments or something?
Yeah, it's comments. It's 19 of them right here just now.
I'll take questions if you want to.
Yeah, dude's just saying, Jack seen it all. Hello from China. Chop Chop's on board. Thomas Himmelberg out in Brooklyn, down in your own home states. Brooklyn Himmelberg, he's a coach out there. He's one of our guys. Fun boxing. I mean, yeah, it's just going on. I'll send you the link. You can check it out.
I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely.
Would it be okay if I post it on my social media?
Oh, sure, man. Anytime. Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So what I want to say is, first of all, Eric, thank you so much. This was one of the most professional podcasts I've ever done. And I appreciate you and I appreciate you having me on the show. That goes, you got to watch some other ones and you'll understand. So I had fun on another one recently, the barbershop with Frederick Horfon. Frederick is awesome, man. We just rip it up with each other. And this was fun as well, and I appreciate. But we got a lot more serious though, and we educated a lot of people, I think, on this.
Yes.
So, you know, boxing has been so good to me. I've been so blessed that there's not a day that goes by when I'm in that ring before the fight. I look around and I really appreciate where I am, and I pinch myself sometimes. I'm so happy. I'm lucky. I'm being there. So I really feel like it's my responsibility to give back.
Yeah.
I am one of the instructors with the Association of Boxing Commissions, the ABC. I teach refereeing courses. And I'm also one of the referees that assist in making the rules better, bringing them up to snuff. So I take what I do very serious, and that's one of my ways of giving back. I try to just help the referees improve, help keep the fighters safe, and help the sport improve. And I've done it on the back of a lot of my own mistakes, because when you make a mistake, the horrible thing would be to make that mistake over and over again without correcting it. And I've made so many, I got a good repertoire of what to build on. But I've taken it to the next step because I'm always talking boxing with people on the phone, like on the fights the other night when they were on TV. Randy Gordon, the former commissioner of the New York State Athletic Commission,
Yes.
did a Zoom call, and we had a boxing watch party with 20, 30 other officials and people in boxing, and we were commenting on the fights, and it was interesting to do that.
Yeah.
But on a regular basis, I watch fights, and I'm always talking to other officials about, did you see that? What do you think happened? What could that guy have done different or better? And I'm always talking boxing with guys. And Pat Russell, an unbelievable world class referee.
World class.
He did the Marquez Vasquez trilogy, Rio Alvarado,
Man,
Bradley Provodnikov, fights that were wars. He did. And we put our heads together and we came up with a training program there's nothing like it ever before. A 3-day, very intense course for referees called, it's actually for officials. The first class is for referees, Soul Arbiter. And we could be found at soularbiter.com, or you could find the link on Facebook and Twitter at The Soul Arbiter, or you could find it on Instagram, Soul Arbiter Boxing, or again, our website, www.soularbiter.com. I welcome everyone to please at least check it out, see what we're doing, see what we're preaching. If you know somebody, and let me say this too.
Yeah.
I taught the class in Vancouver in October, and I invited the media, the boxing writers on the major websites and some TV people, and 2 of them came. And it was a very rewarding experience for me and them, because they get to educate the fans to now what they're seeing. And I've got two television broadcasters coming this time, and I'm happy about it.
Beautiful.
What I'm saying is this class is for everybody, whether you are a fan, a writer, a podcast person, a wannabe referee, a USA boxing ref that wants to make the transition, or you're a pro and you want to up your game. We're going to cover stuff from A to Z with theory and mechanics, and video after video and physical situations. It's good for anyone. So check us out. And
that's beautiful.
Bill Clancy's coming, by the way, and Wayne Spinola, and a lot of good guys.
He's a smart cat, and I'm going to make sure that I put those links down in the comment.
How could you put smart cat and Bill Clancy in the same sentence? I got to disagree with you on that one.
He's gonna get that one.
He's my brother. I kid around.
That was a good one, man. Well, let everyone know how they can follow you on social media, your Instagram or your Twitter feed, because I know you're posting anything you're posting out there is informative. So
like I said, I'm always posting on Facebook at The Soul Arbiter, and on Twitter at The Soul Arbiter. They can find us. They can find me personally at 2 Jack Reiss. That's my personal handle before I was doing this, but I'd rather let them follow at The Soul Arbiter on Facebook and Twitter, or the Soul Arbiter Boxing on Instagram, and they'll see our posts. We put educational stuff out there. Good. And we got the people who are already signed up. We got them engaged. We're sending them homework, giving them study programs, giving them stuff that they have to do. They have requirements that they have to get back to us on already. And they're going like, whoa, I thought I was coming to a class. You're coming prepared. You're coming at the level we want you at, so we could go move, man. I don't want to be dragging people along with us.
Wow, that is powerful, man. Our guys in the School of Boxing, they're definitely looking and chiming in. They know how you're talking. They hear this from me every day, and to hear someone at the level in which you're operating, that's what it takes to get there and be there, not to just, get a lucky rabbit's foot one day, but to obtain that level of success. So, man, once again, we thank you. And our staff wants to I always give the person on chance to say, at the count of 3, the fight show is awesome. 3, give it to me, Jack.
Thank you very much.
The fight show is awesome.
The fight show is awesome.
That's my man.
Let me give it again.
Go ahead. 1, 2.
The fight show is awesome.
Oh, Haley Zell and those guys, they're tripping out. Her dad was on last week, man. We had a blast, and this was so great. And I can't wait to come out to California and have that beer. That's definitely what we're going to do. I'm going to take that information. I want you to email all of your bullet points from your contact stuff so I can put it in a nice bullet and distribute it to our people who are really, really dedicated listeners.
I'd like to go one step further with you, Eric. You've earned my respect and my trust, which is more important than my respect. And if you're going to come out to California,
Yeah.
I would like you to, do it around a big fight and
Yeah.
attend the fight. And I can't get you a ticket to the fight, but once you get in that arena, I will get you a credential, and I'd like you to accompany me in the dressing room for the pre-fight instructions the day before at the rules meeting we give. And I'd like to give you the full inside experience behind the scenes that you can go out and teach people about and commentate and help boxing be better because of what you're going to see.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, I'm down for that. 1000%.
I'd really love to have you with me in the dressing room.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking so forward to you, Jack. Take care, man. We'll be in touch within the next 24 hours, and enjoy the rest of your day, and happy belated Father's Day. And thanks again for joining us on the show, brother.
My pleasure. Great meeting you. And man, great minds think alike, and we're on the same page, man.
Take care.
I'm really glad to have met you.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
You too.